Hi everyone, Oni here, and I'm back with another tutorial. Today, I'm going to show you guys how I use Clip Studio and Figma to export all of my emotes or sub-badges for Twitch. Figma is typically used for UI, but today we'll be using it to mass export and batch rename all of our PNGs. This will make uploading all of our emotes much easier. If you take commissions for emotes or for sub-badge designs, I would recommend getting familiar with Figma so that way you can export all of them at once instead of going one at a time. If you're only interested in the Figma section of this video, feel free to skip ahead to the below timestamp. Alright, let's jump into the tutorial. I personally draw everything in Clip Studio Paint, but any drawing program should work for the first part. I drew all of my emotes on one big canvas. This is a 3000 by 3000 pixel canvas, and it's 600 DPI. You can use any size canvas you want, and the DPI doesn't need to be that large. You could just do 300. 300 DPI should be fine. The reason why I like to do one big canvas and why I suggest people do one big canvas is that way you can see them all next to each other and you kind of you get to keep grasp of like the big picture. I sketched all of these before I started drawing them. I'll make sure to insert the time lapse. So the way that you can create this kind of guideline, if you would like, each one of these squares is 500 by 500. I chose that size because sometimes I think maybe I'll make like stickers or something of these, so I don't want it to be too small to start with. That would make like converting it later kind of a pain. So I start with 500 by 500. So the way that you create this type of like grid is, or the way that I do it anyway, is I create a new file and I make that file 500 by 500. And then I use the paint bucket tool and I fill that whole area. And then I copy. I'll ignore all those open windows. I copy and paste that, and I will just like make copies of it and spread it out so I have space. Yeah, that's how you can make sure that it's 500 by 500, and a way that you can like keep yourself organized on the page so you're not just like drawing wherever. I recommend using a square or some type of grid, because otherwise you're just gonna draw like whatever and it may not fit, and I would hate for you to spend a lot of time drawing something just for it to get cut off in the end because of the way that sizing works on Twitch. So this will be helpful. Make sure that you're using some form of template. There are some free templates like online I've seen floating around Twitter and things like that, so any kind of template to make sure you keep track of the size that you're drawing at will be useful. Once you're finished drawing all of your emotes, you're going to want to create a new file. That's the 500 by 500, and you'll want the resolution to be the 300 DPI. Turn off the background and paste your drawing side. Of course, then you can just export it as a PNG. After that, we're ready to move over to Figma. Okay, now we're in Figma. So Figma is a program that's primarily used for UI design, but it has a lot of really nifty things in it that honestly any artist of any level could probably benefit from learning a little bit, just a little bit. You don't have to become a pro, but A little basic knowledge in Figma will probably help you on your artistic journey. So as you can see here, I have all of the images laid out already, but don't worry, I'm gonna walk through it with you so that way you know how I got here. The most important thing is that you have to start learning shortcuts. You can do a lot of stuff manually, but it's just much easier if you do the shortcut. So I actually got a program that will show my keystrokes on the screen, just in case I miss telling you something, because I've gotten kind of used to using the program, so it's like very intuitive to me. But just in case, the keystrokes will be on the screen to help you. So first thing you want to do is create a frame. Frame that you're going to create is basically like your canvas in Clip Studio. It's just like the outline basically of where your artwork is gonna go. So you want to make sure that you know the right sizes for all of the frames that you're gonna create. I looked up everything ahead of time, obviously, for the video. Look at me, I did my research ahead of time. For Twitch sub badges, they're 72 by 72, 36 by 36, and 18 by 18. Twitch has you upload 3 different sizes of pretty much everything. So this is because they like sometimes display the emotes in different places, and so they need to have a big, medium, and small. Your Twitch, if you're like doing the Twitch currency, which is like what viewers use, like part of the viewer rewards, those sizes are actually different. I found out the hard way. The sizes are 112 by 112, 56 by 56, and 28 by 28. But I'll have it show up on the screen for my people like me who are like, I can't take instructions like auditory, I need it written down. So it'll be up on the screen. If you have any questions or if there's anything like you want the size, it's very easy to find. Okay, so our step 1. We got our information for our frame size. So the first frame that we're going to create, I pressed F. F tells Figma I'm ready to make a frame. You can just hold shift and drag, and it'll create, you know, like an equilateral, anything, honestly. Everything will be equidistant, no matter what shape you're toggled onto. But it should be automatically toggled onto like your frame because you pressed F, and then you can just drag it to the size you need. So we need 72 by 72. Ta-da! We did the first step. But you'll notice that there's a background, and for any emotes or, you know, like sub badges, you can't have a background. I mean, you can, but most traditionally they do not have backgrounds. So over here, you see where it says fill? You want to hit the eyeball and turn that off. So it should just match the background. I use everything in dark mode. If you use light mode, and that's a personal choice, you can do whatever you want, but make sure that you're testing your emotes on a light and a dark background when you're drawing them to make sure that you can see them, because people use Twitch in both light mode and dark mode. So just make sure you're keeping that in mind when you're drawing. Okay, so now we have our frame. What we're going to do is, for the first one, we're going to drag one of the things that we, one of the images that we exported from Clip Studio in this case. Whatever drawing program you use is fine. And we're going to put that into Figma. It's going to be large when you first import it, unless you started off with a 72 by 72 image, or like you exported it at 72 by 72. It's going to be pretty big, so be prepared. Wow, look at that. It doesn't even... So you can actually drag things out of the frames if you want to see, like, if you like can't see. But you want to make sure that you keep it inside the frame. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see where this is. And I'm just going to make it the same size. So I'm dragging it, but another thing that you can do is, too close. Over here where it says dimensions, you can actually type in the dimension that you want to change it to, and it'll automatically resize. Make sure that you're centered. If you see like those two red lines that showed up, that was letting me know that I had centered the image. So there's two ways that you can go about this. You can repeat that process for every frame size, right, that you need. So these are all, this one's 72 by 72, this one's 36 by 36, and this one's 18 by 18. You can also copy and paste your frame and then resize it this way. You can also type it in. The first one's the most painful. I always tell people, just remember that you're setting it up. Also, if you make sure this is blue, that means it's turned on, and it'll lock your aspect ratio. And the last one, 18 by 18, right? Right. So you click the frame first and type in the size, and then you click the image. So now you have your 3 sizes that you need for Twitch. So now you're like, okay, well, I don't want to do that for like 12 emotes or however many emotes you did, which is totally understandable. So what you want to do is you want to select the frames, make sure you click the name of the frame and don't just click the image, because you will copy and paste the image. Sometimes this happens, sometimes it'll select both. It really just depends on how the program is feeling at that time. But all of my like frames and stuff are pretty much like connected together, so when I copy and paste it, it does that. I'm still learning a lot about Figma. I'm not sure if there's a way to make sure that you always select both the frame and the image if you accidentally just click the image. But yeah, we're gonna copy it and we're gonna press Control V. We're just gonna drag this over. Okay, so you have two versions of the same thing. Made a copy. So you want to click on the image and then double click. So click the frame and double click it, and then a window will pop up here. You're gonna click the blue button, and that will open up your file, and then you'll just click whatever like your next one is, and that will replace the file here at the size already. So you don't have to drag and do the sizes over and over and over again. You just want to keep replacing that image. So let me do that, and then I'll be right back. So now you can see that everything is the correct size that it needs to be. You have your big, medium, and small. So the next thing we're going to do is rename all of our files. I've already renamed most of my files, but I'm going to walk you through it, so don't worry. You want to select all your frames. Let me zoom in so you can see. So just click on the name of the frame. Then you'll hit either Command R or Control R, depending on what you're using. And you'll see where it says rename to. You'll type in whatever you'd like to rename it to. And then I choose number ascending, personally. But you can choose number descending, ascending, or if you're good at creating functions, then you can probably come up with a good function. And that renames your file names. If you are particularly savvy, you could probably go through and select all of the frames that are 72 by 72, and then name those 72, and then go in and add another name on top of that using the old name as a like a suffix. So then it would be like such and such 72, such and such 36. So then if having the the dimension is important to you, that would be the way that I would tackle that. It's a little bit more tedious, but if you need to know what size it is at a glance, that would probably be the way that I would go about it. I saved it, and now everything should have the correct name visible. You should see that. If it still says like frame 25 or whatever, you might have named the image, like renamed the image name, but not the frame name. So this is if you've ever used Adobe Illustrator, this is basically your artboard. So you want to make sure that you're actually changing the name of the frame or the artboard, and for our example, so that way when you export the image, it pulls this name instead of frame 37 or whatever. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these, and we're going to hit the big export button. Now it's going to ask you where you want to export it, and I already have a folder called resized, and I'll show you guys. It is exporting all of the images into my folder. And so as you can see, it has like the name bell jar, eyeball, mosquito, etc. That's on there now. So I don't have to worry about trying to rename all these things after I've exported it. Make sure you rename it before you export. Obviously, if you make a mistake, you can always just delete it and try again. Hopefully this helps. This has really streamlined my process personally, and I recommend tell everyone you know. I feel like this is much simpler than trying to export individually and resize individually from Clip Studio or somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to upload all of our stuff into Twitch. I already started on some of these, but I wanted to upload the flare and then the missing subbadges, because when I originally started drawing, I didn't realize that I actually needed 2 more, and soon we'll need the 3rd one, so I went ahead and drew 3. I need to change, I guess, the 2 here. Delete that, and instead we'll put perhaps the magnifying glass. I might move these around later, depending on how I feel. I don't know, like, order of, you know, what feels best. I think most people try to like scale up how dramatic it looks, but I made a bunch of different items, so kind of hard to scale it. And then we need to do 3 here, or maybe I'll do the 3.5, because then I can make it the voodoo doll version of my mascot. Alright, and they look so cute. Okay, so now all of our badges and stuff are up. I hope that this tutorial was helpful. I know that it can be kind of frustrating learning new programs, but hopefully this made Figma feel a little more digestible for you. Thanks for coming by again. Goodbye!